Heavenly Father, we do want to thank you for this day that you've given us, and Lord, we thank you for the many blessings of life. Most of all, Lord, we thank you that you've laid out a plan of salvation through your Son, Jesus Christ, that we could have everlasting life, and we thank you for that. Lord, I just ask you to be with our community as we deal not only with the pandemic, but with business owners struggling. God, we just ask you to watch over all of us, keep us in your protection, and Lord, just give us wisdom and guidance as we go through our day-to-day lives. And Lord, we ask you to be with those in this community that keep us safe. All of the first responders, Lord, we just ask your protection and your blessing on them. Lord, we ask you to lead us and guide us during this meeting that the things that we do and the things that we decide will be right and pleasing in your sight. And we ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Gentlemen, if y'all had an opportunity to review the minutes of our August 4th meeting, I just need a motion and a second to approve those minutes. Motion by Nate, second by Myron. All in favor, aye. No. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda is we took this up in our last meeting, and we have the second reading and passage of fiscal year 2021 budget amendment ordinance number 220.216. Just need a motion and a second on that amendment.
Somebody.
Second. Motion by Marty, second by Scott. Any question or discussion? All in favor say aye. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Ordinance is roll call. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. All right, next is also a second reading of another ordinance that we had first discussion on in our last meeting. It's second reading and passage of ordinance number 920.113. It's amending zoning regulations. Need a motion and a second for that second reading. Motion by Nate. Second. Second by Myron. Any questions or discussions? The only thing I will say is we do have a piece of property on Vance's Mill Road that will be addressed by this amendment like immediately. It's been a very bad disarray. So this ordinance is going to help us clean up some of those type situations where abandoned houses are just falling down and weeds are growing up around them. So this will help us get ahead of some of that. Any other question or discussion? We're ready.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. All right, gentlemen, the next item on the agenda is I met with Fire Chief and another gentleman from RST last Tuesday. I'll bring the chief on in because I'm sure there may be questions or just some things that he might be able to discuss more clearly than I could. But what we're looking for is to authorize a resolution to work with immediate response field technology to reclaim some money expended, and I'll let the chief explain how this works a little bit.
Okay, good morning. So, yeah, the judge is right. This is something I actually started on probably about a little over a year ago, and it's a cost recovery program. So we were running into some incidents where, we're spending a lot of county taxpayer dollars on non-county tax-paying citizens, mostly up and down the interstate and, at the interchanges, at the truck stops and things like that. So, and again, when we're talking about fuel spills or vehicle fires, high loss deals that cause us to, expend more than a normal run. We're there for several hours. We're having to use, products as far as like spill containment products, things like that we're just currently not getting reimbursed for. And again, those are just the dollars that are coming out of our line item that are gone and, we'll never see again. This is nothing new. I mean, communities do it all over. A lot of communities, and I went with this company. I've reviewed several different companies, kind of figure out. This one has a lot of good features that I like. A lot of the folks up and down I-65, there's several departments in that area that use, this particular company. But basically the way this would work is we go to an event. And again, this is geared towards the non-Simpson County resident by and large. There's a little caveat to that, and I'll be happy to explain that here in a minute. So these events where, semis are coming through, they have the fuel spills, they have fires or whatever. We go out, we keep up with our time, what material we used. Then we just basically create a sheet, and I think we do it over, we just fill in a thing on the website. It generates a bill. So the number that they use is a kind of a conglomeration, mostly from the FEMA number, that FEMA says, hey, this is what a fire engine is worth, here's what a firefighter is worth, their time. They take that, the state fire marshal has a schedule, and they kind of blend them. They get a comparable average, and then he takes that bill, and he's basically acting as an agent. We sign the contract, they kind of act as an agent based on the parameters that we say. So if I say I want to bill the non-Simpson County resident, then that's who gets billed. So if it's a Simpson County resident and we say, no, we don't want to bill those folks, then they do not get billed. So we enter that information, we feed it to them, they collect on that.
And you can keep in a situation, if you had an accident that just was a Simpson County resident, say there was oil and fuel and whatever on the road, we don't even have to submit a claim.
No, we don't have to submit anything. We submit it, they act as an agent to collect on our behalf. So as far as outlining the parameters, and again, we're not trying to collect from the normal car wreck, here in town, 2 vehicles, we show up, we're there for 10 minutes, there's a little bit of oil dry, because chances are the tow company, it is the tow company's responsibility. Let me say that. It is not the fire department. We're there to mitigate, which means try to stop, make things better. We're not there to clean up, okay? Now, we often do clean up, especially on major intersections, traffic, just to try to help, get that going. A lot of times we have everything swept up, it's in a trash bag, sitting by the car, and, we're rolling out when the tow truck is rolling in. And we're just trying to, expedite the process so that we can get the road open and, everybody can go home. So, having said all that, so yes, to answer your question, 2 residents, Simpson County, have a standard accident. That's not what we're looking at here, okay? So, we're looking at the bigger spills, the bigger fires where, we're there for 3 or 4 hours. We have to use materials, pads that soak up the materials, the oil drives, all that kind of thing. This also gives us an avenue. You guys may or may not remember, but we did have a fire, last year or so. We used the hazmat ordinance that the county already has to go back and reclaim some. This kind of expands upon it. For instance, a little over a year ago, we had an accident out on the interstate, major accident, fatality, several semis involved. And as part of that, hydraulic fluid, oil, all that everywhere. So as we're trying to extricate, a couple of the guys are just covered in diesel fuel, on their turnout pants. Diesel fuel going into a fire, it's not a good thing, I don't have to tell you, but it destroyed the pants. So and they're not cheap. A set of turnouts, $2,800 roughly. So, and again, those are just destroyed. This gives us an avenue to recover those things as well. But anyway, so as far as the fee goes on that, one thing I did like about this, on this program, the fee is added to the top of it. So it doesn't actually come out of that bill with one exception, a minor exception. But we turn in that bill that I was describing is generated. This administrator adds a 15% administration fee into that, and then they go collect that bill. Then we get the full amount that we had asked for, and they get their 15% on top of that. Other programs took the fee out of the bill, that we would have originated. So that was one good thing that I did like about this program. So, and to give you an example, well, let me say this first. That again, we talked about covering non-Simpson County residents. Now, where the Simpson County residents might come into play is things that are above the norm. So if they were large business owners who had semis that traveled and those, wrecks or whatever that caused us to have to do the same thing, then we would be looking to do cost recovery on that as well, potentially. So we could, again, the same process would happen. They would get a bill. So the thing to remember on this is when we're talking about these large spills, the insurance companies are going to get involved. And you're talking, I don't know if environmental cleanup, that's not cheap. You're getting into hundreds of thousands of dollars pretty quick. So, a bill that might cost $10,000 on our end to recover damages is kind of a drop in the bucket.
Yeah. What the chief said, I was going to point that out, that basically 100% of this revenue is gathered from insurance companies, not the individual themselves.
Yeah, that's correct. And again, there are some caveats to that where we outline the parameters as far as the collection goes. So it will go to this company. They do their thing, billing. They will talk to their insurance companies, and they will hash it out. If it gets to a point that they can't come to some kind of term, then it would come back to us or me and say, hey, what do you guys want to do here? And then, we just have to decide, well, is it something we want to pursue? Is it a high enough, is it a high dollar amount? Then, we turn it over to Sam's office and say, yes, this is something that we need to recover this. And then it would be, it would be up to us at that point to decide where it goes from there. Today we get $0. We have nothing. So, my opinion, anything is better than what we got going today. So, and again, it's something that's just kind of derived from, we all know we're obviously in hard financial times. And I said, it's something we kind of talked about a year ago. But now we're just kind of at a point where, our hand is a little bit forced.
Yeah.
So to give you an example, this was just this weekend. This is just a random weekend. Okay. Friday, we have a semi, he ran over somewhere around the 110 down in Tennessee, didn't realize it, all the way up, gets off at exit 6 for his mandatory 30 minutes break every 8 hours, pulls into the empty lot there across from Southern Service where that BP used to be, swings in, sets in his truck for 20 of those 30 minutes, gets out for the last 10 to do his walk around before he gets out on the road, and there's diesel fuel all over the ground. So, we get called out to that. Obviously, it's running down the drain into the little grassy area. So we show up, we use a product that's comparable to oil dry. We apply the product there, try to mitigate. Again, we're not there to clean up, we're there to mitigate. So, we do our diking and damming. The diesel is leaking. I try to plug that leak to get it to stop. I got it to slow way down, but I couldn't stop it. And I talked to the driver, they're out of Nashville, they have their own cleanup crew. It's 2 hours before they got there, and we're out there with them waiting. Every few minutes I've got to go back and try to re-plug this leak. So that was something that previously, even today, those are just monies that are gone, that time, all that. So I had the gentleman make me up a mock bill based upon, the product we used, the time, and the vehicles that were there. And that was $2,040 that we could bill that insurance company for. And we're talking about, this is a large corporation. Their Lexington office, and they got one in Nashville, and they have a cleanup crew. So, the cleanup crew wasn't cheap. I mean, I don't know what their bill is, and depending on the depth of how far they had to go, if they have to go in and dig all that dirt out and bring in the dumpsters and the line. I mean, again, those things, they may be sitting on a $200,000 to $300,000 bill by the time it's said and done. So $2,000 is, not much. Second event, now this is one, this Saturday, thankfully we had a crew working at the station, the 24-hour crew program. Had we not, this would be a very, very different story. So, north of town up here, Industrial Park, we had a fire, on one of the lots, industrial gas oil carrier. One semi on fire, turned to 3 right about the time that, PD arrived about a minute or two before us. We get there, 3 semis. I immediately, just hearing the 3 semis involved, I called Woodburn for assistance just because of the rapid spread of fire. The guys did a great job. They pulled off. They got it knocked down, contained. Ultimately, what ended up burning, so we had 2 tractor trailers, another tractor that completely burned up. The trailer next to it had 400 gallons of gasoline sitting on it as well. So you can only imagine if that thing had went off. So we have that. We ended up, and I think it was like a total of 10 exposures of vehicles that were parked in that area that sustained damage, heat damage that was coming off of this thing. So as that, we were there for roughly 3 hours or so, but based upon our time that we were there, we used a foam additive, and it's for hydrocarbon-based fires. And we use this product in there, and that stuff is not cheap, but it does very, very well. That allows us to recover, again, this allows us to cover some of that type of stuff. So along with the fuel runoff, everything did as it should. They have a basin set up, but again, there's potentially a tremendous amount of dollar loss there. That I don't know what a semi goes for this day, but a tractor and trailer together, it's not cheap. So, there's 3 of them that are burnt completely up. So I'm sure their insurance company is going to have a tremendous bill. So again, we're there for 3 hours. Woodburn comes. I built their fire engine, and with 2 firefighters, that they sent, with our product and everything all together, that ended up being a potentially, with the admin fee and everything, potentially a $12,000 bill. That again today, we're not recovering any of that. But again, this program would allow us to submit that, and the insurance company, could reimburse us. And again, $12,000 sounds like a lot of money at first, but when you break it down again, you're talking about 3 semis that have burned up, plus the recovery of cleaning up the product that's spilled into the environment and all that. I don't even want to venture to guess how much that is, but I would say several $100,000 of damage out there. $12,000 is a drop in the bucket at that point. So, are there any questions on anything that?
So, in the event that insurance companies or individuals will not pay, this IRST, we have no financial obligation whatsoever with this company.
No. So, again, they are taking somewhat of a risk as well, I guess, on every claim that is submitted. So they will work to the best of their ability to try to recover that. Again, if it hits a point where it is a legitimate and justifiable claim, and they come to us, he may call and say, hey, what do you guys want to do here? And again, because we're not getting anything either. So we have to decide, yes, at this point, we want to pursue this because we feel like, this is, the correct thing to do. Then it would just be up to the fiscal court, the county, to collect that money. But as far as, we are under no obligation to this company to cut them a check because they couldn't collect or anything like that. I mean, there's no cost directly associated with us sending them money. And again, it's an annual contract that costs $0 that has a 30-day notice if we want it out of it. And here's the other thing too, that we can end the contract kind of by default by simply not sending them any information. I mean, if it came down to it, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's no obligation to submit a claim for every single incident that the fire department responds to. I mean, they only get the claim information that the chief would submit to them.
Yeah, and the fact is, so we use that same parameters to say, okay, who is involved? And, again, if it is one of those deals where, these are two Simpson County residents that have had that, we're not even going to submit it because, they're already paying taxes for that service and we're providing that service. So we're not necessarily, that's what, going after those folks. Again,
Chief, we were talking about it, wasn't that long ago, you had the truck fire on the interstate with a load of tires.
Yeah, so, and that, I don't know, sometime last year. Yeah, that was a terrible incident, but, so again, truck catches on fire down, about the 5 mile marker northbound. We get there and it is a truckload of tires headed to Georgetown that have been, like hand stacked in there. And, this is a box. And essentially, I mean, there's really no way to get in there and put that fire out without getting the tires out of it. I mean, you spray water on it all day long, but you're never going to get to the seat of the fire. You have to get it, broke away. So we were able to, I really can't remember about the actual tractor itself. I kind of think we got the tractor away and it was just a try, but that could be incorrect. But the point is, so very early on, when I get there, I'm in, mitigation mode and I'm trying to talk to the driver. Okay, man, where are you from? Like, what's your company? Who do you guys have somebody that does this kind of work? So they sent a team out of Nashville that came, and those guys, I mean, they literally brought everything. I mean, they contracted with volunteer recycling. They brought 6 or 8 dumpsters. They brought track hose, skid steers, I mean, everything. They even brought firefighting foam. They're like, hey, you guys need foam? And I said, yes, I've already used 15 gallons. I'm done. That's all I've got. Again, it's expensive, and we do not keep a tremendous amount of it in stock. And, they showed up and brought another 20, 30, 40 gallons with them. And, which we were grateful. Again, because it's a hydrocarbon-based fire. You put water on tires, it just doesn't do a lot. So anyway, again, but we still had to wait, an hour and a half, 2 hours. So we're shoveling water, just trying to keep it contained to minimize the damage as much as we possibly can. Now, what this will allow us to do too is, we've had these incidents where, we've had one here in town where we had trucks spilled and diesel is running into the waterway. Right after rain, we have water running down the waterways headed towards the retention ponds or into the main storm drains that, carry water out of town. So, we called, the city, I believe it was. I think we called the city and the county, and I think the city was closer with the backhoe. And they came in, we used their equipment, had them build us a dike, try to defer all that, and try to keep the diesel out of those waterways. So again, if those incidents occurs, this is a mechanism that we can actually recover and get some funds to help, offset those costs. I tell you, I mentioned when I called mutual aid for Woodburn. So again, if we can recover funds, we can turn right around and share those funds with Woodburn and say, hey guys, we appreciate you coming. This was outside their normal scope of the automatic aid agreement. This didn't apply. Had it been a structure, it would have been automatic, but being the vehicles, it didn't apply. But that will allow us to extend them a little bit of appreciation, hey, appreciate you guys coming and bringing some funds.
Now, would this also work in the sense, say, if a neighboring county called you all out and got them, would it work in that sense?
That is a good question. And I do not have a good answer for you. I mean, if we do this, and we have to have a resolution that would apply to allow us to do this in our county, I don't know that that would extend. I simply don't know. That is a good question, and honestly, I had not thought about that. Most of the time, the way these mutual aid agreements work, they're really just a gentleman's handshake that says, you know what, you call me, I will come, and and we do go, we provide mostly water support, taking tankers and stuff, and that's generally about the extent of it. Generally, we're on the receiving end. Woodburn and Portland are really good, and when those folks come, when Dixie Discount burned, we had Portland come to help us out. They brought foam. We bought foam, and I turned around and took it back down there and give it to them. Because again, that stuff's not cheap. So I simply don't know. That is a great question. I can try to find out, but it may have to be that we have some kind of resolution or something like we're doing now to probably the same question. How about that?
I think that's probably the responsibility of the county where you're from.
I'm guessing that's right. And again, it's kind of one of those things if we go help, we don't look to collect because they're constantly coming here, and I'm happy to go there and try to pay them back. The same way with Portland. I mean, we've been down there in years past. They've been here, and I mean, we never asked for. Now, if there was I guess if there was something that was really extensive that we lost, something of high dollar value or something of that nature, then we might. Those things, though, I believe are going to be generally covered under the, excuse me, Captain, what's the term, the emergency management, the mutual aid that we have, if we're going into, yeah, whatever those agreements are, the EMAX, there you go, that term. So those agreements that emergency management would have with certain counties, and I think that's where we've been able to, like on the state side of things, if we were to go somewhere outside of our borders to do assist with a rescue, we have called in people. We called in some folks last year. If you guys remember the incident out there on Cal Harris and all that, we called in some folks to help. So we had Hart County come, and we had City of Campbellsville come, specialized equipment and all that good stuff. We worked under those agreements. But that's kind of really more through the emergency management side. So I think there is an avenue through that we could recover if it was applicable that direction.
Yeah, I think, gentlemen, the big thing is, I don't think this is going to be like a huge revenue producer, but it would help recover some expenses that the fire department incur on these type calls. It could help ease a little bit of some budget woes, but it's not going to be a revenue producer. It's just going to help cover and recover some of the expenses and costs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is not some kind of, like I said, I mean, it's not a money-making venture, but it's one of those times that, we've always, up until this point, we've just extended good nature, I guess, to folks traveling up and down 65. And not that we shouldn't be nice to them, but at some point, you got to realize these are our tax dollars that, we're giving to these folks, and most of them are, again, and most of the time it's not even the individual in their car. Most of the time it's the big companies that are running semis up and down the road that are having incidents that cause us to be there for 3 or 4 hours. And, they certainly most always have the insurance companies and stuff like that. They have the means to pay it, so.
Sam, have you reviewed this contract?
I mean, it's what I said it is, isn't it? I mean, it's pretty, as far as contracts go, I think it's pretty open.
Pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, I mean.
I see no reason not to go through with it.
Well, if the court's decision is to proceed, what we would first need would be a motion and a second to approve resolution number 2020-08-18 to, authorize the immediate response spill technology contract and, authorize the judge to sign that resolution. So I got a motion by Nate. Myron, will you set your own second? Any other question or discussion about it?
We're absolutely clear when I'm doing this. When I'm doing this to the Simpson County Residents, right?
No.
Okay,
That would be my only, I'm all about recouping.
This is gonna be transient, activity.
Well,
I understand.
So here's-
I wanted to double.
Let me-
The chief was saying.
let me say this for clarification, okay? Because this is where we need to decide that we're all on board, okay? So when I said that, we're not interested in the Simpson County residents that have the two vehicles and we're there for 20, 30 minutes, whatever. Even if we got to cut them out, we're there for an hour. It's not what we're talking about. Okay? We're talking about mostly the traffic up and down the interstate and at the truck stops where, we have these incidents that cause us that. The caveat to that potentially could be a Simpson County resident was this example that I gave you. This business was started by a Simpson County resident, So your businesses that are in Simpson County, if they have an accident, that causes us to be there for more than, if we're there drawn out and we got to do all that, then yes, we would try to recover, some of our expenses on the bigger.
Basically, you're talking commercial business.
That's what I'm getting at.
Passenger issues, you're talking about commercial.
No risk.
Again, so, and I say that most of these places are not owned by Simpson County businesses, but this particular one is a very large business and it is Simpson County. So, that's where I don't want there to be some muddy waters there. I want to make sure we're all on board that this is a commercial deal that is a very large, deal that I think, my personal opinion, this should apply to. But I just want to be clear, so that you guys understand what you're voting on as well, that there is potential that they are Simpson County residents in the sense that they own the actual business. Does that make sense to you? Okay.
Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay.
To follow up with that, then, we would need a motion and a second to approve the contract with Immediate Response Field Technologies and authorize the judge to sign that contract. Motion by Meyer. Second by Nate. Any other question or discussion about the contract? All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda is, gentlemen, we had in our budget, a vehicle for Public Works. We just need a motion to approve, that Public Works, vehicle purchase.
What vehicle is it?
Bobby, you wanna explain the vehicle and what we're getting?
What we're looking for is just to put out the bids, a ton work truck. We don't have that. I've also budgeted for a trailer, which would be below the cost of bid, but we do that later. But I was just looking for a flatbed ton. We could put a gooseneck or a little heavier trailer, give us a little more options. Because right now, either it's the dump trucks or pickups or the bumper hitch on it. Something we don't have, but just something we're adding to the fleet.
I just didn't know what vehicle.
This was already,
Just how they don't do the dump truck.
this was already in the budget.
It was a budgeted item. Motion by Marty, second by Scott. Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye? Any opposed? Motion carried. Marty the motion and Scott with the second. All right, now this item's not on the agenda, gentlemen, but y'all had a paper in front of you when you got here this morning. We got this late yesterday afternoon. A contract, between the Simpson County Detention Center and the Allen County Detention Center, I guess actually ACJ and SCJ, Adair County, not Allen County, Adair County Jail and Simpson County Jail. And what Adair County is seeking is the ability to house some of their inmates in the Simpson County Jail. They would pay a rate of $35 a day, which is 15 cents more than we get for a state inmate. They'll pay the transportation costs, medical costs, and we have the ability to end this contract with 30 days written notice.
Also, it's to be renewed every year.
It'll have to be renewed.
I mean, that way you're not binding subsequent physical courts. That's in the terms as well.
How many inmates are they anticipating?
What was your question?
How many inmates are they anticipating running over?
Right now, I think they house around, they have like 90 beds and they're pushing 200% capacity. So right now we have 26 open beds, in our facility, and, at the rate that they're paying, with the downfall of our monies, I can't help that. I'm looking at everything I can do to get money back in, and that's where we're at. So I'm going to take as many as I can at the $35 a day, which on state we get paid $31, $34 a day. So that's a little bit of a boost. I did tell Jailer White in the contract they're responsible for the transports and stuff like that. Gentleman's agreement. They're short-staffed. They're a small jail, and I told him, I said, gentleman's agreement will help out on that.
Is this going to require more personnel?
No, this is saving about 8 to 10 jobs this week, because I was fixing to lay off again.
So you still
We're
still have some part-timers laid off?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, we keep our part-timers because it doesn't matter if you got them or not. They can fill that gap. We were going to lay off full-time.
Let's rewind just a second.
Sir?
Are we gonna have any way to recover our costs for going to Adair County to pick up inmates if we have to pick up?
We do that. We do that on a daily basis pre-COVID to get the inmates in there to get us a check revenue. I would do it regardless. If you said, hey, I got, 20 state inmates,
so
you want them.
I just want to make sure I understand
Yes, sir.
this right. So if the state has an inmate to house in the Simpson County Detention Center, I don't know where that inmate may be. Let's just say it's somewhere in the central part of the state. We're obligated to go pick that inmate up, and we recover no money from the state for picking that inmate up and bringing them back.
If you want the revenue off of it, you don't. Here's your gift. You want it, take it. If not,
I didn't.
Yeah.
That's not uncommon, yes.
We're just trying to fill a void right now.
It's $35 a day, Eric. Is it going to cover our costs?
It's going to help a whole lot more than what we got right now, because I got 26 open beds that's not drawing anything, plus your county that's costing us. And I'm doing everything I can to figure out how to bring that revenue back in. And this is a pretty good way. Now, is it more work on my deputies? Yes, because county inmates you got bonds and all that stuff that you got to take care of where you don't have to on the state. But they're willing to do it. So
these are county.
These are all Adair County inmates.
And you said without this, you was on line 8?
Sir?
Did you say if you didn't do this, you was on line 8 employees?
Pretty close.
What would the cost of that be versus what the revenue would be to get it?
Well, I'd have to put things pencil to it, but.
Well, 26 inmates at $35 a day
Here's
is
the thing.
$910 a day.
Here's the thing. It's not as simple as, and I know where you're going with this, lay them off. Here's the thing. It's not that simple because of the way the jail is laid out. If I've got 20 sex offenders over here in this part of the jail, you gotta house them together. And I've got murderers over here, high-risk young murderers over here, you gotta house them a certain way. Then you got your Class D, which is housed down in the center. So you've got to have a certain amount of deputies at each part of that jail. It was not laid out perfect. It was not laid out perfect by no means. Therefore, it costs more to have your deputies at certain spots in this facility at all times.
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I was just saying.
I know.
I was just trying to,
Yeah, but, I mean, the way the jail is, I mean, the way it's laid out, it all factors in. And I looked at that too. We're gonna be better off, can we shift these over here and put these over here and make it work? It won't work with what we've got in it. But it was getting to a point to where if I keep losing inmates, and I'm gonna lose some more this week, I'm gonna lose some more state inmates this week, just by serve outs and, you know, stuff like that. We're gonna get to a point to where we're gonna get down to a minimum of full-time deputies required by the state, which is 24, 28. And then that's where we're gonna be. And then if the inmates keep on dropping, we're still gonna have to have that amount of number of full-time employees on staff, even if we've got 20 inmates in there. Does that make sense?
How
many you got?
How many inmates, the state?
We got 202, 182 of them are state, and 20 of them are county.
So,
That's right now.
so Eric, if the 26 beds that are empty, if we had state inmates in those beds,
They're gonna draw 31, 34 a day.
I get that, but my question is, if you had the 26 beds filled, these 8 employees would have to be at work anyway.
They're still gonna be there, yeah.
So, in other words, we're coming out bad.
Regardless.
We're just coming out a little less badly
bad. Yeah,
with these inmates.
Right.
Because, I mean, if you do eight employees on an 8-hour day at an average of $15.50 an hour, that's costing us $992 just in pay, but then you got retirement and everything, so that number's gonna be, $1,200. We're gonna get 910 out of these inmates, but we would get $95 less if those 26 beds were filled with state inmates, and you still got those people.
So the amount of deputies is not based on the amount of inmates?
no.
But
It's,
to your point,
That's-
say $400 a day.
I mean, it's the stuff you got with you.
I mean,
the layout
okay.
and how you have to house them.
Out of those 26 beds that you stated have, would you try to max it out, or would you keep some beds for, kind of emergency?
Nate,
All right,
I'm gonna do my best with this opportunity to fill us back up.
So here's a question. What if the justice system has turned around, they start putting people back in, and now jails are filled up again, and, hey, Simpson County, we need you to take
We're
such
good.
and such a state inmate, but we've got these Adair County inmates, that we're making a few bucks more a day on. Can we turn the state inmates away and put more Adair County inmates?
Yeah, we don't have to take state. The state is more of a guaranteed rock solid. That's what we've been banking on, for 10 years now. And they've been consistent pre-COVID. Right now, this all started, and I want to apologize to the court for this being thrown at you just short notice. I know it's known. This all started by Adair County having 20-something state inmates that he was just gonna put them out there. Jailer White was just gonna put them out there. I've got these 20 that need to go somewhere. We got 26 beds. I want them all. Well, DOC got involved, and then they said, well, other jails have got open beds too, so we're gonna give you 5. Jailer White said, I'm still in a mess. He said, I've got so many county inmates. I've got to do something with them. I have no choice. A Friday night talk over the telephone. Hey, if we can work this out, I'll help you out. Because we need our beds full.
Has the Adair County Fiscal Court approved this contract?
They are in the process right now, but yes, Jailer White said it's going through. They got no choice. And they have the same medical provider as we do, so the med techs can talk to each other. They're on the same, whatever, hotline, I guess you'd say. So that works out good too. What's that?
You add these items to the other, we want to increase our food content.
Well, our food is based on number of inmates that we serve per day. Now, if it gets, probably ain't gonna change much because we're so far away from what we originally run our contract at.
Well, first on medical.
Yes. You're correct. We gotta get over that 300 mark again before she starts dropping. Or actually, I think it's a 200, a 250, and a 300. I think that's how it's set up, Marty. So I would appreciate, I mean, like I said, this is to try to lessen the burden on what we're facing. Because like I said, COVID has messed us up. And that's out of my control. Like I said, I'm trying, to lessen the burden.
Any other thoughts, questions?
So they would send over, so to speak, 26.
They're starting with 9 and they're just gonna keep rolling. So, and another good thing that me and Jailer White had talked about, the residents that are gonna be coming from him to us have been through quarantine. So
You don't have no problem.
I don't have no problems there. I've got my quarantine set up so we can lessen the quarantine time, so we can disperse them into the beds quicker. So we got a gentleman's agreement there.
Myron, if I might, contract doesn't limit it to 26. It's basically,
We can take 100.
I'm gonna say it just says a portion. And so a portion can be 5, it can be 1, it can be 100. Okay, so I mean, that's why I kind of left that open because
Right.
you don't want to limit yourself one way or the other.
This is not a
If we had
new,
one more today, we'd have a population of 228.
right.
So, I mean, I know you can handle.
Yeah, oh yeah. This is not a new strategy. Madison County, they probably got 200 dispersed to other jails in the state. Because they don't have any choice.
You drafted this
I
contract,
did.
Mhm.
and the Adair County Fiscal Court received this very contract.
Yes. They got it yesterday, and Jailer White said it's perfect, so. Just wanted you to know what was going on, and we're giving it a shot.
So if this was approved today, it's going to be good. It could be done in 30 days if it didn't work out.
Correct. Yeah,
It's open-ended.
30 days.
30-day notice to
Notice
either
is-
side, which I think that has to be a minimum. You can't just drop in a day or so, but I think 30 days is more than reasonable notice on either side.
I don't think we've got anything actually to lose.
Mm-mm.
It's help offset.
We'll lose less.
Gonna lose less.
Yeah. Well, I'm okay with that, but I would prefer the motion to, approve this contract, authorize the judge to sign it, pending approval by the Adair County Fiscal Court. Because we may be better at that, about taking their $35 than that court is about giving us their $35.
Could be.
And I mean, I guess honestly, if they don't approve the contract, it'd be a moot point anyway, because they're not gonna send them over here if they don't approve. the
Well, for the contract to be effective, both sides have to agree to it, sign off.
I just didn't see I don't recall seeing a place for, yeah, there he is, yeah.
Both sides have to
Yeah,
sign.
Judge Cowan's name's on there. All right, so what's the desire of the court here?
What do you need? You need a motion?
If we're interested, we need a motion and a second to approve this contract and authorize the judge to sign it. Myron's got the motion.
I'll second.
I heard something on this side first.
No, that's fine.
It was Nate. So motion by Myron, second by Nate. Any other question, discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Next, under financial business, budget transfers, just a standing, line there, but there are no budget transfers, at this time. Gentlemen, if you had the opportunity to review the bills and claims, we'd need a motion and a second to approve those claims.
Motion made.
Got a motion by Nate, second by Scott. Any questions or discussion? All in favor, aye? Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item, gentlemen, if you had the opportunity to review the July 31, 2020 financial statement, we need a motion and a second to approve that pending audit and authorize the judge and the county treasurer to sign that document. Motion by Marty, second by Myron. Any question, discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving into reports, I will need one motion out of the report, time here, and I think, Jailer, well, he left. And Sheriff, I sent you guys an email yesterday. We're planning to do a surplus auction. We're trying to get all of those items that may be involved in that auction in, but we do need, a motion and a second to authorize bid, for this auction service, and we want to have the bids in by September the 11th, Friday, September the 11th. So we have to have a motion and a second to authorize the bid process for, the auction. You said second before he made the I missed it. All right, so Marty's got the motion, Nate seconded. Any question or discussion?
Well,
Bobby, or is the location gonna be at the Public Works lot?
That's on my head right there.
At the Justice Center lot?
Parking lot. Unless he's got a lot of stuff he has to do.
It doesn't matter, they did it last time down there, I didn't have anything in it, and most of the stuff came out of the jails area, I think.
Yeah, I think the majority of the stuff this time is gonna be Public Works. Yeah. All right, so authorize, I had a motion by Marty, a second by Nate to authorize to bid for the auction, and the auction location will be at the Public Works facility. Any questions, discussion? All in favor, aye? Any opposed? A notice to bid, yes. Our Barren River District Health Department report, the one that was released yesterday afternoon, reported 12 new cases here in Simpson County, 131, that's a total of 182 cases. We've seen 7 deaths associated, we've had 131 recover, which means as of their report yesterday afternoon, there was 44 active cases in Simpson County according to the Barren River District Health Department report. Want to share with you guys from the South Central Kentucky Technical College that they just sent a note thanking us for our annual support of the college and their program out there. So I just want everybody to know that we got that report. I'll pass these out. These are, no discussion, just information. We had talked about pay rate scales. You're gonna see one in there from the sheriff's office. His is showing the current pay scale. He's gonna work on, a proposed, pay scale going forward. So we'll try to get that one to you as quickly as we can. Cause I would like for you guys to review this. If you have any questions, on the departments that are directly under me, I want you to give me a call and talk to me about it. The same with the jail, the sheriff, or the clerk. If you have questions about the folks that work in those departments, call and talk to those elected officials. But I would like, and hopefully, Sheriff, we can get yours, what we talked about, and have something that we could look at for the court to talk about and get something done at least by our second meeting in September. So these are for information purposes. You guys take them, look at them, contact me, sheriff, jailer, clerk, if you have questions. All right, Marty, you got anything?
I called you, about 3 or 4 weeks ago about the Farmville Road. Was there ever anything done? There was probably
The short answer is I've made some phone calls and been playing phone tag. I'm on it.
Okay. And they did a really good job trimming on Love Jump Road, and they worked on, build out there, like I said, probably the road that they've only got, that's black farm. It is just constantly filling, they've got all that straight down. Are we close to starting on the, hill on the southern wing?
They're out there this morning making those trees in.
Okay, well, I told the neighbors out there that, when they clean them trees, go down, it would be long before y'all would be taking that hill.
Waiting on them getting the paving schedule, so we won't have to shut down.
Yeah, that's what, and everybody was really happy to hear that they did when we got down.
And Marty, you brought up a question in our last meeting about the state right of way needing being mowed. And I talked to the guy at the state, the road department Friday. He said those crews are here and they're getting started.
They started, but the state had that armor. That was the most worthless thing they could have possibly done. You know, they was, on Gold City Road, they were doing that. They were taking a strip about 2 foot wide, and the concrete was still out of it. The guys actually was home, but they're actually coming in and they're doing a dugout lead and everything.
Yeah. So they are getting going on that.
Yeah.
Nate?
Yeah, just a little report from the Board of Girls. We had meetings yesterday, virtual, and unfortunately, we didn't have enough online. I thought some concerned about maybe open up the Board of Girls for the kids. There's a lot of different avenues that you can go, and there's things that's going on. Some of the other areas, clubs, they are opening up. If you look at that. But what we trying to decide on is probably what on school we're gonna do with the school is doing. When they open back up, so the kids come up, right? They're gonna do a little bit the house where this kids will come down. We thought about opening up before so the kids come on down so they can get some help, where they might need it. But then we might be open up ourselves. Our kind of worms that we don't know. So we're gonna go with the school idea. Bring the kids in there, they made it. And that was the main thing that we made it talk about.
Thank you. John?
No.
Myron? Oh, yes. I had that marked on my thing and I skipped right over it. We do need to, talk about our CD rates. It's on the agenda there on the portal. Our one CD is maturing. You do what? Okay, both of them have. The general fund, and you see the dollar amount in the road fund there, and you see, our rates, while they're not good, you see that the Franklin Bank rate is quite a bit higher than any other. So, all I know to do is ask for a motion in a second to authorize the treasurer to move those 2 CDs to Franklin Bank at that rate showing on the schedule there.
Second.
I had a motion by Myron and a second by Nate, and Scott was on it too, but I had a motion by Myron, second by Nate. Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? That motion carried. Thank you, Nicole. I had it written down right here and just looked right over it.
We did both of them on one motion.
Do we need two motions for one, or can we have one motion to move them both?
You move the same bank, the same rate, I don't see why you need
Okay,
two motions.
I was gonna.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a good question.
yeah, okay. All right, Sheriff? All right, the jailer, I think, is already left. Clerk's not here. Chief, do you have anything else? Bob, do you have anything else? Carter, you have anything with planning and zoning? All right, I overlooked the council again, I'm sorry.
No, I haven't done this in a while, so I'm going to remind people that the delinquent tax sale, because of the virus, customary in recent years has been this month, it's been moved to September. For those who got a little extra time now, please pay your, if you can at all possible, pay your delinquent tax bills before the sale. You got a little extra time, because it'll be a lot more expensive, and could be subject to having your property foreclosed on by a third party. So, please take advantage of the extra time you've got.
Thank you, Counselor. Didn't mean to overlook you.
I think it's the 22nd, Nate, let me verify that.
Bill?
Yeah, September 22nd.
Gentlemen, you also have a paper in front of you. This was just something that we could have proceeded on with, but as I talked, Bill come in and he and I talked, I felt like it was best that if we let the court make the decision on which proposal. We've got a situation with the heat and air unit over at the coroner's office. You can see, the bid, Company A and Company B. You can see the differences in the bids.
The two handouts that I gave you this morning, I'm sorry about not being able to get it on the portal, but this information was just coming in. Got some of the information actually yesterday morning. But, and I couldn't really put out a proposal till I talked to Atmos Gas to see if we could get a gas line put in over the coroner's building. And we are getting a gas line put in. In fact, it should be put in today or tomorrow. And they told us there'd be no cost if we dug the ditch between the street and the location of the meter. And Bobby and Anthony, Public Works, came out yesterday with a trencher that they were renting anyway for another project, and they dug the trench for us. So Atmos is in the process of putting in the gas line, which moves me into, and I don't want to go into a lot of this because it's history, but I want you to understand what's going on. Back when that building was built, it was designed to heat and cool the bays in the office area. So a 4-ton heat pump with 60 kV of extra electric heat was installed. When we got into looking at all this, we haven't heated or cooled the bays in the 5 years that I've been here. And when I actually worked at Crabtree, we had that building and we never used the heat or air in the bay. And what makes this kind of unusual, the fact that when they put in a 4-ton unit, the ductwork was put in, and they had, I'm not sure why it was done this way, but anyway, it boils down to that the original ductwork is only a 12-inch supply, and when I noted this to the contractors, I said, I don't see how that, because we had issues out at the animal shelter that we needed a 14 minimum for, and this was a 12. So this is why this project got a little expensive. We're going to have to tear out all the supply line and put a line big enough for a two-ton unit, which you would think if we had a 4-ton unit, that ductwork would be adequate, but it wasn't. Actually, the ductwork in there will supply 1.5 tons. So all the laterals, there are 5 laterals, and the supply line is going to have to be taken out. And another little bit more cost to this one is why I wanted gas, and we got gas in the building because last year we didn't have any kind of heat in the Bay Area where they park the vehicles, and that's where all the water is. So we looked out last year, we didn't really have any real cold freezing point, but I'm afraid our luck's gonna run out on that, and one of these days, we're gonna freeze everything in there. So what I actually done was come up, if you look at the proposals, I got two proposals scope of work that I wrote to give to the contractors. And this involved putting a 2-ton unit with 50,000 BTU gas horizontal heater in the first area, which is the office, which will be adequate for that. And we'll have that on a separate thermostat. That'll maintain just the office area. Where before they had the thermostat to run the office and they had a separate thermostat to run the bay, and all they did was open doors and make it a zone unit, but that made the 4-ton unit kick on every time it called for heat in any of the areas. So you're just running a 4-ton unit for, I think, unnecessarily all the time. So, what I came up with, since we're getting gas in the building, was for the bay area, we would simply hang a shop type gas heater, 75,000 BTU that would operate on a thermostat. That way we could maintain the bay area in 40, 45 degrees in the wintertime, but we can maintain the office area in our regular temperatures. And of course, in the summertime, we wouldn't need anything but the office area to be heated and cooled. So in doing that, if you look at the proposals, it costs a little bit more money up front to do that because we're actually doing two systems. And another thing that added, we've been averaging between 39 and 45 for replacement of a 2.5 or a 3-ton unit. And you can see the cost difference here is, some of it's going to be the heater. In one case it was 24, in one case it was 29 for the extra heater, and then we're going to suspend it from the rafters down there, and it has to be separately wired and it vented and so forth. And on the furnace part, if you look on the proposal, I went with a 80% furnace instead of a 90. The 90% furnace requires a different type of drain that doesn't freeze because it has to drain in the wintertime. 80% doesn't have to drain in the wintertime. It only drains when it's air conditioned. So we have drains for that, so we wouldn't have to change the drains. There is a little bit of better efficiency with the 90%, but it costs more. You pay for that extra, and with that building, and with only that one office, we're actually only heating probably about a 16 by 13 space. So I didn't see, worrying about the efficiency for that one room. So I was trying to save some money by going with the 80% on that furnace. So, and all the laterals are going to have to be changed. They're 5-inch now. We're going to have to change them to 7 to get enough air moving through the unit without having to add more vents. So if you're looking at the figures, Company A, that was their total for everything, is a 9,700. Company B, they did not, because they were not from local, they don't do wiring in local areas. So I contacted an electrician so I could get my proposals lined up here of what the estimate was of getting it wired, because we're going to have to run a separate wire for the heater in the bay area, and we'll convert some of the electrical that's going to the existing furnace. We will convert that to meet the needs of this particular furnace. So I added in the estimate of the wiring, which brought that total up for the Company B to $9,227. And I got noted down here that Company A is a local contractor. Company B is not a local contractor, but he has the business license for this area. And he actually is the person that does all the work at the Justice Center because he's on a state contract. And very professional, very good. Both companies here are very, very, very good. Company A just completed putting a new system in out at the animal shelter. So, and Company B had just put a system in down here at the Historical Society. So we've had both of these companies. I guess I'm getting down to, if you look down here on the sheet, the differences in the proposal is $473. And of course, the company B, the out-of-town one, is a little bit cheaper. But it boils down, this is why I wanted to bring it to the court. At some point, I would like to get us, and me and Mason talked about this, I would like to get a county contract for HVAC. Every time we have a problem, I'm calling, trying to find somebody to work on them, and then we have conflict when we have to do a project and somebody that's not doing the servicing gets the contract, and, you know, we have these problems of, well, why didn't I get it? Well, because we're going for the cheapest bid and still have a good product. So I would like to get with Sam and the judge, and one of these days, as soon as we can, get a contract for the county HVACs. So when I call somebody, I know my contract at the Justice Center works the way that we get priority, we get the fixed rate, it never changes. If he comes and has to spend 2 hours, or if he comes and is gone in 15 minutes, we still get the same rate. It's the same price. So we kind of look front what we're going to get into, and under the contract, I know exactly what they're going to do. I know what they're going to charge us for and what they can't charge us for. So I would like to see that happening in the future, but I'm just bringing that up because of this right now. We have a $473 difference, and what do we want to do? And that's why I'm here. I'm not making this decision on my own. I want you all to make a decision. Do we stay local, or do we go with the cheapest bid?
And Bill asked me that yesterday, said, can we go ahead and proceed? I said, well, I think we could, but I said, I would like the court involved in making this decision. And I'll be honest, personally, if just solely my decision for $470, I would work with the local business.
Well, here's what I'm thinking. That's estimated. Is that a definite price on the line?
Yeah, but it's gonna be pretty close. The only other thing, you know, I've been up front with this, the electrician wouldn't, hadn't come and looked at it, but I told him what we was gonna have to do.
If I was doing this personally, I would go with the local one, simply because they're gonna wire it. They're gonna be responsible for all of it. It's a total bid. And I'm not saying here you got to give the electrical bid, it's off on the price. But if I was doing something personal, I'd rather deal with somebody who was going to
take care of
everything. And that's because it says they're replacing breakers and doing the wiring, and they're doing it all. So,
which leads us into, if we get a contract, I'd like it to be with a local person.
Well,
somebody in this.
And I agree with you on, I think it puts us in a better place if we have an HVAC contract to take care of all county facilities. So I agree, we should work on that.
I got one number to call now. If we do a project, we can get outside proposals. But I sent out 3 of these bid requests, and we got 2 back.
That's just what I'm thinking,
Yeah.
I don't think believe in just wasting money or spending more money than some on one thing and the other. But I really like on a project like this, somebody that will do the complete thing, and then we're done.
We always strive on helping out local business people. And this is the very case right here.
So if you need a motion, I'll make a motion.
To go with company A?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think everybody was saying yes. So Marty's got the motion that we proceed with this, work at the coroner's office with company A as proposed. Myron seconded. Any other discussion or questions? All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, Bill.
Thanks.
Carter, I think maybe I overlooked you. Do you have anything with planning and zoning? Okay. If there's no other business to come before the court, all we need is a motion to adjourn. Got a motion by Nate, second by Marty. All in favor, aye? Aye. And I'm sure there's none opposed to that.